So you are now on day 2 of dividing with fractions, but now this time we are including whole numbers and mixed numbers in your process. So I chose 6NS1 practice number 2. And the reason I chose this one is because I want to make sure that you guys understand how important it is to not only read the questions, but pay attention very carefully to what's going on. So a lot of times what students do is they just look at the problem and they say, okay, how many blankets can they make? And then they go through and they say, okay, I see this number and I see, actually, let me try that again. There we go. I see this number and I see this number, and we don't really pay attention to what those numbers are or what they mean. So we need to actually take the time to slow down and look at the problem. So it is okay to quickly look for the question, but one of the other things I'm going to caution you on is sometimes there are 2 questions and we're so quick to be done with the problem that we miss that first question because it's buried further into the problem. So here the question is, how many blankets can they make? So here it tells me that Laura's class is making blankets to donate. As a class, they bought 100 1/3 yards of fabric. If each blanket requires 3.5 yards of fabric, how many blankets can they make? All right, so each right here is our operation word, and this operation word is telling me in this case to divide. And I know that it's telling me to divide because the numbers that I have, so they bought 100 1/3 yards. So bought tells me that that's what they have. That's their total. And then 3.5 yards are going into each group. So in each group. And in this case, our group is 1 blanket. Okay, so I have, imagine, so this is basically like a football field's worth of fabric that they bought, and they're taking that 100 1/3 yards and they're cutting it into groups of 3.5. Okay, which tells me that I am correct in saying that I'm using division. Not sure how I did that, but that was kind of cool looking. All right, division. So it's what I have. So I have 100 1/3 divided by 3.5. Now the other thing is here, you'll notice that 3.5, just because of how it was written, got split up. That's why you guys have to read the problems. So many students have gotten this one wrong because they just divide by 3 because they didn't read the problem and see that it's 3.5. Now remember, when we multiplied, we had to change any mixed numbers to improper fractions. It's the same idea for division. Think of it this way. When we divide, we actually end up multiplying, and the rule with multiplying was we had to make them improper. So it only makes sense that I have to make them improper when I'm dividing. So in this case, I have 100 groups of 3, so that's 300 plus 1. So I have 300 1/3 divided by 3.5. Whoops, why did I leave that as 3.5? I don't know. Hopefully you caught that before I did and saw that you had to do 3 groups of 2, which is 6, plus that extra one is 7. There we go, 7/2. So now I can just go ahead and use my process where I keep, change, and flip. So I'm going to keep 301/3, change division to multiplication, and then I'm going to flip 7/2 to 2/7. And then I can go ahead and multiply. So I know 301 times 2 is 602. 3 times 7 is 21. Now I can't leave it like this because I got a big old dome on top here and a little tiny body down here on the bottom. So I know that I can't leave it like that. I have to do some long division to figure out what this is as a mixed number. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to erase some of this stuff over here so I have some more space to work. All right, so I have 602 and 21 is going into each group. So 21 goes into 60. Well, I know it can't go in 3 times because even though 2 times 3 is 6, that 1 times 3 would make it 63. So this is going to be 2, and I get 42. I subtract, and I get 8 and 1, and then I bring down the 2. 21 goes into 182. I'm going to go ahead and say 8 times. 8 times 1 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. And when I do the subtraction here, 12 minus 8 is 4. 7 minus 6 is 1. So I know I'm good because 14 is actually less than 21. So looking at this, this is my whole number. So they can make 28 whole blankets. And then 14 and 21 will be left over. I can divide each of those by 3. So I get 28 and, I'm sorry, not by 3, by 7. So I get 28 and 2/3 blankets is how many they can make. So make sure you can go over this again if you need to, but you can use the rest of the time to do your practice problems. Make sure you do your ride, and then make sure to turn in your practice at the end of class.